Proving We Won the Cold War by Carter Dreyer. The Break of the Soviet Union. In 1991, the Soviet Union disintegrated into 15 different countries due to its collapse. The collapse of the USSR is very complicated, so I'll try to keep it simple. The main reasons for the collapse was the terrible economy and the influence of Western culture. President Ronald Reagan would wreak havoc on the USSR's economy by putting sanctions on oil and other supplies. The last leader of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, would also be a big factor in the fall when he made laws giving the people freedom to say, read, and think whatever they want. He also allowed non-communist parties to run in the government elections. As you can see here, here's a picture of Mikhail Gorbachev and the Soviet symbol in pieces. As you can see, there are 15 different broken pieces, symbolizing the 15 different countries the Soviet Union broke into. Here is President Ronald Reagan, who had a big part in the collapse of the USSR. This is the Soviet Union map of the different countries it broke into. As you can see, all the eastern countries over here, and then Russia becoming its own separate country. The Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall was built in order to separate the democratic West Berlin and communist East Berlin. This wall would keep people from escaping East Berlin and coming into West Germany. Sadly, many people died trying to climb over and escape. However, the Berlin Wall was more of a psychological wall, which represented the Iron Curtain and Soviet laws. The wall would finally come down in 1990, and East and West Berlin were reunited. As you can see here, here's a picture of a fully constructed Berlin Wall. You can see it's the wide gap in between, and you also can see the difference between East and West Berlin. East looks a little more poor, while the West Berlin looks more wealthier. And you can also notice the Soviet truck and soldiers in the middle. Here's a picture of the destruction of the Berlin Wall. Democratization of Eastern Europe. After the fall of the Soviet Union, the many countries in Eastern Europe that were controlled by the Soviet Union had to develop their own government. But after 40 years of rule, there was many problems facing each country. They had to change their government and their economy at the same time. Many of the countries lacked the influence of strong democracy influence. Thankfully, many of the countries were able to develop a strong democracy, but some still have trouble developing democracy. So why did the United States win the Cold War? The United States won the Cold War for several reasons. The United States was able to outlast the USSR and still continues today. Many of the countries once ruled by the USSR turned to democracy after the break of the Soviet Union. Democracy and capitalism were the two major ideas that the United States supported during the Cold War. Even Russia today is a free market economy. In the end, the United States and their ideas is the best for the economy and the people. The United States did win the Cold War since it outlasted USSR, and the former states in the USSR support Western ideals today. The end. That's better.
You do, Kurt?
Yeah.
I'm learning something today, Carter.
Yeah.
I don't know my stuff like you do.